By spring 1975, let me show you what we look like. Oh no, not like that. Oh yeah, that was 76. By spring 1975, having attained a certain degree of competence and the confidence that goes with it, we started to promote our own gigs in the back room of a pub that Rini had found near to the art college in Twickenham, where she was studying. It was called the Cabbage Patch, and we played there every Saturday night for about 6 weeks. A combination of flyers, free listings in Time Out magazine, posters, friends, college students, and word of mouth provided us with an audience that doubled with each week. And by the 4th week, there was a totally healthy crowd. We'd already started to introduce a rather crude, low-budget theatricality into our stage show, using strobe lights, smoke, slide and Super 8 film projections and dramatic uplighting. The music was being played with more attack and less caution, and one Saturday evening in May we did a show of frightening intensity and fire, a show which transcended all of our technical and musical shortcomings and which culminated in a spontaneous audience invasion of the stage as feedback howled and the drum kit was demolished. Now, it sometimes happens that a rock band makes a virtue of all the frustration and aggravation that having neither manager, nor agent, nor record company, nor budget brings. The set we played that night was a seething rant against our own inadequacies, and the audience had roared back their approval. They had screamed unmistakably, "Yes, we like this." This was our greatest moment to date, our coming of age, if you like. You only do this job for approval and acclaim, and when you get them for the first time, it's honey sweet. Afterwards, in the poky little ante-room, no more than a cupboard really, which served as our dressing room, we were euphoric and already longing to play next week's show and to build upon that night's success. After the show, while winding down with a beer before performing the deflating and embarrassing ritual of dismantling our own stage equipment in front of the audience we had just rocked into a frenzy, we had 2 visitors into our dressing room. The first one through the door looked sort of familiar and introduced himself as Jonathan King, who we knew was managing the successful but po-faced prog rock band Genesis at the time. I was not and am not a fan. He'd had a couple of minor hits in the 60s with his own songs. His marketing angle back then was that he was that rarity, an educated pop singer. He was a Cambridge undergraduate, for fuck's sake. In those days, pop singers didn't get university degrees, they didn't need to, they were gods. But King was different, he had education. My God, never did a man wear so little learning so heavily. Unfortunately, the lyrics to his songs were so brain-numbingly banal that if a 7-year-old from an inner-city slum school came up with something similar today, the school inspectors would be sent in and the establishment would be closed down pronto for falling standards. But Jonathan King had education. Like King, Genesis, the band he now managed, was also being hyped on their public school university pedigree, like prissy little poodles at Crufts. Jonathan King is that uniquely middle-class English sort of man who mistakes smarm for charm. Until recently, he was still wheeled out sporadically to pontificate on some or other pop phenomenon on softcore entertainment TV, and he strained oh so hard to be witty or even mildly controversial, like a constipated stand-up comic trying to shit out a decent punchline. And then a spot of bother with underage boys saw him locked up, and that was that. Ah, education. Our other visitor that night was Bryan Morrison, who had managed the Pink Floyd, but had made a substantial fortune from music publishing with the Floyd, T-Rex and Bee Gees among his acts. While visually conforming to the most crudely drawn caricature of a cigar-chomping East End Jewish wide boy, the complete social antithesis of King Wasp, he was in fact a self-educated man of astonishing flair and instinct, charismatic and confident to the point of arrogance, who could be relied on to turn the most unpromising set of circumstances to his advantage. He had a big, fit, robust physique, a cannonball head, a close-trimmed beard, and expensive teeth. He had already lost much of his hair, but with Morrison it didn't much matter. He was polo-playing testosterone on legs, nervously hyperactive and overwhelmingly macho. He filled any room he walked into. I cannot imagine that in his entire life he has once uttered those deathless late 20th century words, "I'm trying to get in touch with my feminine side." Bryan, God rest his soul, is no longer with us. He fell off his polo pony and went into a 2 or 3 year decline and sadly left us about 3 years ago. This is what the Doctors of Madness look like. Gareth Mankiewicz with Dave Vanian of The Damned.
I'd like you now to...
On the Twiggy Show.
They're a new rock band who are just about to start a big world tour. Will you welcome them to their first television appearance? Ladies and gentlemen, the Doctors of Madness.
Get that much smoke at the BBC these days. As you see, we're going to sort of take that of our day.